Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Dear White People Season 1, Episode 9. It is called Chapter 9. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, we have a Coco episode here, which
Yes.
is great, but it means with no Joel episode, which we were hoping we might get before the end of the season.
Yeah, that's a shame.
But hey, well, maybe she'll get one next year. We got a bit of news this week, actually, that the actor who plays Reggie has been up to a series regular for next year, which was surprising because I had no idea it wasn't one this year. But there you go. So
Especially when it's been so integral to the plot
it
in the
has
second
it.
half, at least.
Yeah, I mean, like episodes 5, 6, 7, he was like a major character in all of those. So
Right, and he was around before
yeah,
that.
he had small parts before that, and then he was a big part of the plot for like 3 or 4 episodes. So straight, it wasn't in this one, funnily enough, given that I'm bringing that news up.
I know.
But it was in almost every other one. So strange. I wonder if Joel's maybe also just a recurring and not a regular. Maybe that's
Must
why.
be.
But I mean, Reggie did get an episode, so I mean that's not necessarily even a rule in and of itself.
Yeah, but I would say Joel's been in it less.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But she seemed to get a lot more time actually once we got to about halfway through the season.
Yeah,
We
that's
got,
true.
we got,
Once we got past the Reggie episode.
yeah, she had like a good bit of screen time in the next couple. But anyway, we're here to talk about Chapter 9, which is a Coco episode, and it's much like we said last time. We were expecting that Troy would get a lot of stuff in this episode as well. Hence why you didn't really need another one because both the last one and this one were both heavily about him as well. So it is about Coco. It's about her, and as the narrator starts with at the start of the episode, it's kind of about how she's always had these goals. She's had this life plan that she wants to like go to be the first in her family to go to college and then go to law school, find the one, find the man, and like the phrase that the narrator uses, of course, long term time phrase, is behind every great man there's a great woman, and she's heard it so much that she believes that, and she wants to be the great woman behind a great man. And of course, you can kind of tell as soon as he says that, like, okay, right. So the arc of this episode is most likely that she's going to learn that she doesn't actually have to be behind a man. She can just be
Yeah.
a great woman without a man. And that's kind of where we end up by the end of the episode, and it goes through some very interesting ideas. And a lot of this one, I think, again, a big theme that we had, especially at the start of the show, is about her like outgoing sort of persona, what she represents. And obviously the big thing in this one is the hair and how the wig comes off mid-sex, and she freaks out. And even though it's the guy she's being intimate with, she still hides under the bed sheets, and she's like, "No, you can't see my hair." But when he compliments her, I mean, he like says, "No, I'd like you even if you were damn near bald, like just." And he puts on the bandana. Well, it's not even a bandana. It's just a bit of something, but he wears like a bandana to sort of so she feels
Yeah.
equal.
I liked it as well because we'd had like the hair brought up before with Sam in the flashbacks.
Yeah, which paid off nicely as well because she goes to see Sam when she, in the next scene she decides to just keep her natural hair, her
Yes.
sort of all her curly glory, and she goes to that sort of hoity-toity party with Troy because his dad wants him there to, talk to all the investors and
The,
whatnot,
the usual, basically.
the usual, and obviously we find out the after effects of Lionel's article, which Coco goes and confronts him about, and basically he's not letting him move. She's like, drilling right into him, and I like
He's
how
like, not here, and she's like, here.
yeah, and I like how Troy comes up, and he kind of like, no, it turns out my dad actually kind of like had a better effect.
Yeah, it's like, hey, give me a watch. Cheers, mate.
At least it seemed that way at first,
Yeah.
and so Lionel's like, oh, so are we cool? And he's like, no, we're going to talk, but go and finish your breakfast. We'll do that later. So no, Lionel was cracking me up this house. So obviously the big comedy moment in this one is Coco finds out about Troy's affair. She kind of like guesses it from like just seeing them interact, and she brings it up to confirm it, which he does because he's an idiot and just says. But then it's a double edged sword because I feel like like she brings it up and says, oh, so you convinced this woman, this professor, to have an affair with you. I feel it's a double edged sword. Now, admittedly, he shouldn't be having an affair in the first place. That's obvious, goes without saying, but. Right, but it's a double-edged sword in terms of his response because if he pretends like, no, what are you talking about? Like, that could be taken as, oh, you're insulting my intelligence. Whereas in this case, he's went with, oh, how did you know? And it makes him look like an idiot because he's just confirmed it. So, double-edged, I mean, it's his own fault. He put himself into the corner, but
There's no winning with that question, is there?
there's not. And I guess the point is he didn't deserve to win, but after that question.
The only way he could have won is if he'd said no and she'd gone, all right then, I believe you.
Oh, but that's not because he's still guilty. Like there's still
He
guilt,
he is guilty, but it's
isn't
the only
it?
way he could have got out of that question without it being worse.
Yeah, but then well, she still keeps pestering. She doesn't
No,
believe
no,
him.
that's what I mean. I'm
Yeah,
saying it's unlikely because she's clearly got these suspicions.
we've shown that she's quite a smart girl. She
Right,
doesn't. She's not
exactly.
going to just
That's
fall
the
for
point.
it. I
Like
think.
that's I don't believe that would have happened. I'm saying that's the only outcome that he could have hoped for.
Yeah, but anyway, so she again, this idea that she puts on the public face and then has a personal side is that she says like, "Oh, you just told me," and she's she acts all tough in front of him. She goes into the bathroom and she immediately like the face just changes to like tears, crying face. Like she's just immediately, and she goes up to the mirror. And I actually called the joke. I called that Lionel was going to because they share a bathroom. It's a joint
Yeah.
bathroom. They're roommates, and I was just like, I bet Lionel's in here. And of course she goes to the mirror and Lionel's just standing there holding a towel. And what I love is this scene plays out quite long. It's this long, prolonged comedy scene, and there's a few emotional beats where she's like, she even knows that he has a crush on Troy, and he's like, oh, by the way, it's not as good as it looks, like being with him, and like she like, so there's some good little character beats in there that quite genuine, quite heartfelt. But I love that this entire long sequence plays out, and not once does Lionel wrap the towel around himself. For some reason, he just stands there, like he's holding a painting in front of him, and he's peeking over the top of it. That's how he stands the whole time.
He's shell shocked.
And he backs out of the room holding it like that, and it's this perfect extra touch. Like just, like I think in terms of comedy, I mean a lot of the characters have been funny, but I think Lionel's the MVP in terms of the comedy. Joel's had some great moments. Don't get me wrong, but I think
I think I
Lionel,
have to give it to Rashid.
he is good, but he's further between, fewer and further between.
Yeah, but I laugh harder at his.
I laughed pretty hard at this towel thing. The longer he held
Like,
that towel
don't
up,
get me wrong. This was still very good and very funny. But I'm just saying, I'm not quite sure I've laughed as hard as anything as I have at some of the Rashid stuff.
yeah. So another big thing, obviously, so they're at this party, and this rich hoity-toity couple are like talking about all the things that have happened on campus, and apparently they're donating, or they are donating $10 million, and they basically are like, so there's this town hall meeting, that's very good, but I hear there's a protest planned, and they start talking about like, oh, this sounds quite good, and she uses what's the term she uses, self-segregation. She brings up.
Yeah.
And it gets a little bit awkward, and you kind of feel like it was going to get awkward. You felt like they were going to go down a path that it was going to make, and obviously you've got Troy, you've got Coco there. You also have the professor there. He's having an affair with, whose name I can't remember. Hobbs, Mrs. Hobbs, or Miss Hobbs is. She's not married yet. Not married yet. She's planning the wedding.
That's the point.
Yeah, and like so you've got these and you obviously got Troy's dad. So you've got this wide variety of like black characters to kind of react to these comments. Like how do each one of them actually take those comments? And Coco looks kind of uncomfortable, which I think is a very interesting. She arguably looks the most uncomfortable of any of the characters. But she's the one who, in the scene afterwards, when they're at the, back at Troy's room, she's the one like, okay, this is how we can use this for gain. This is what you can do. You've got an opportunity here. Let's use this.
Yeah, I feel like she was the most uncomfortable moment just because she's the most unaccustomed to these situations. Like the professors, Troy and his dad, they've kind of been doing this for a long time. She's kind of new to this game, so she just doesn't hide her expressions as well in the moment.
Yeah, I think that's arguable. I think it's maybe also that she's just not prepared for it. Like she thinks she is. She thinks she's prepared to play their system, because she's always been a big thing about not being the protester, not being like the activist, being fighting from within kind of thing, and appearing to be. She's because even I actually really like the moment where Troy's dad kind of like because he hears her say something to Troy about doing something, and he's like, you should listen to this one, Troy. You'll get far. Like he's impressed, and it's almost like she's actually kind of the kid that he maybe always wanted. Is her mindset, the way she thinks about things, is kind of what he wants from Troy, and I think it's just interesting that she maybe is taken aback, and perhaps it's just because she's not as used to it. But I think it does affect her. She's like, oh man, this is actually harder to like keep the poker face on than perhaps what you're used to, because they're threatening to pull their money, and it might affect the AP house, which is where they all meet, and like it's their, I don't know if it's not one of their sororities or fraternities. It's not quite that, but it's like the student union or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's like so the threat that might go away if this money's taken, because they're seeing this as like causing this unruly attitude of like the protesters and all the rest of it. And it's kind of like, yeah, they sound like they're not being racist because like, oh yeah, this party was terrible and that gun thing, that was a bad incident. But all these protests, we can't be having all this, hubbub.
Yeah. I think it's interesting though that it's not protest. It's not necessarily protest about this. It's just the idea of anything being controversial means
Oh, exactly, yeah.
it's not a safe investment for them.
Yeah. It's like as soon as it's inconvenient for them to be anti-racist, that's where the line is drawn.
Right? They'll say it, but they won't put the money where the mouth is.
Exactly, and to the point where like Troy's dad's trying to like, oh, you remember being in college, protesting's a part of it. It's like being an open community. It's like, yeah, but this might bring in the national press. This might be, bad for business. Again, it's all about this idea of keeping up appearances, and that's a big theme of the episode.
It is interesting how objectively they look at it, though, isn't it? Like, because it's not about they're not looking at it going, oh, this is a matter of race or anything like that. They're just going, money, bottom line. How's this going to look on me?
I mean.
Like, because I get the impression this could be a protest about anything, like any topic this could be, and they'd react the same way.
I don't know. I don't think that's backed up.
Okay.
I do think there's this weird thing where they care about money more than they care about anything. So it's more about money than it is about race. But I still think there's a bit of racism in here.
Right.
I don't think they would react the same way if it was. I'm going to fundamentally disagree with that. I think part of the reason why they're reacting this, even if they don't consciously think this,
right,
I think because it's a black subject, I think it's because it's a race subject that's being protested, that they see that. I think if it was a white protest about something that they seen as a less controversial topic, like I think the fact that it's about race is what makes it a controversial topic to them, is what I'm saying.
Right, that's it. But I think I don't know if it's them looking at it and going, but because it's race, it just like it could be anything controversial maybe for them. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, but then you get into the sticky question: is what is controversial to them? And I think then you
well, I think to them it's whatever the media brings the media in. Like they say, the national press will get involved. So.
Yeah, but that's racism, though, because that's.
Oh, in this scenario, yeah, it is. But I'm saying there are a wide range of things that it could be as well that I think they would.
Yeah, but I think that's pure speculation. I think all we have to go on here is that they see this race topic as controversial, and I think that is racism because they're worried about how that looks. Instead of standing up for it and saying, "Oh no, we encourage this because it's actually going to challenge the system," they're saying, "No, we'll back away." It's the whole. It's the idea of the system letting it happen kind of idea. Like, I think this is a clear example of that. Even if, I don't know if I believe these people aren't racist. It's hard to kind of tell. Because I like that even Troy's dad's buddy, like the guy who's, he spoke to Troy a couple episodes ago. He's a lot more friendly with him. He tried to give Troy a drink in the previous episode. Even he feels that he's on the opposite side of this argument, where he's like, no, let them protest. Like, he seems shocked by what they're saying. He feels uncomfortable. I think that was kind of an interesting little addition to have in that scene. Like, someone who isn't that. By the way, I'm glad that when we did a news episode. I think it was about Dynasty coming back, like the reboot that's happening soon. And the word wasp came up, and someone in the comments told us what that meant because we had no idea. I'm glad they did because Coco dropped a wasp line.
And that would have just gone straight over us.
It would have. I had no idea what that meant until someone explained it to us. But I got it. Yeah.
We did now.
We did now. Yeah. So, but. Yeah, so you had. So I thought that was a well executed scene in that sense, and then again it showed Coco's character because she was like looking at, no, let's work with this system, let's use this, and let's do these things. Like, if you can convince Sam to drop the protest, you'll be seen as someone who solved their problem. And of course, again, Sam's side would be like, why do you have to solve their problem? Like, you're just enabling their system, blah 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 blah. Like, this has been the argument being all season between the two characters. This is the ideological difference that we've been playing with all season. And of course, he doesn't really go for it, but he does give in. But of course, he doesn't beat Coco to the punch because Coco tries and does it herself. She goes in to see Sam, which is where we get the nice little payoff where she's like, "Oh, your hair," like.
Yeah.
So
it's nice, isn't it?
It's good, and it starts off okay, but she tries to talk her into it. Of course, nice little tidbit. I think the finale will be a Sam episode because there seemed to be more happened on the Gabe front that we've not seen, judging by this conversation.
That's true.
Because she says, how's the white bay? And I hate using the word bay. I'm just quoting, right? But I hate it. I hate it with a passion.
I think you should censor yourself on that word.
I think I'll beep it.
Yeah.
Babe's fine. I'm okay with people calling each other babe. I've done it. When I'm in a relationship, I'll call the girlfriend babe. That's normal.
Yeah, it's all right.
Hey babe, that's normal.
Yeah.
Bay?
No, just put all the letters in.
Bay? No. Yeah. Bay's bollocks. Absolute bollocks. Stop it, people. Stop it. You know what?
Kill it.
I'm sick of all these, like, the millennials are killing these industry arguments, right? Like, all the baby boomers like to, like, blame our generation for everything that's wrong, right? Which is stupid. But you know what? I'll stand outside it and say, hey, millennials, stop with this baby bullshit. I'm not having it.
Be right there with you on that one.
I'm not having it. There's a few things I'm not having, and that's one of them.
They're mostly language related as well.
Language, the occasional food thing, and I'm sure there's one or two other things.
Man buns. Yeah, the hipster man bun trend. That needs to die.
It doesn't bother me as much as you, but I can't say I approve of it either. So yeah, by all means, hit away. I'm all
And
for
also
it.
on the food one, the stupidly, like, the deconstructed food, where you get like, oh, have you not seen this?
I don't believe I have.
It'll be like a deconstructed coffee, and it'll come in like 3 separate little things. You gotta like mix it all together yourself. It's like, no, if I order a coffee, make me a coffee. And then stop taking pictures of it and putting it on Instagram and getting all fancy. It's like, it's food, eat it.
I mean, I hope they charge less for it because you have to make it yourself.
Costs more. It's in hipster bars.
Oh God,
I know.
people. Where was I? I was getting to something.
I don't know. We were complaining about Bay.
Oh yeah, so she's like, oh yeah, I really effed things up with them, and it feels like she feels guilty. And as much as okay, something might happen with Troy, I feel like there's maybe a bit more happened since. It feels like, why does she feel so guilty? I feel like there's a little bit more there to dig into.
Definitely.
So maybe we won't, but I'm hoping there will, because it felt like there was something there behind that
Even if
comment.
we don't see it, I think it'll be addressed through context.
Yeah, sure. Like that'd be fine as well, obviously. But obviously she then like realizes why she's there, and she's like, I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid.
Yep.
You know, so fun. And then there was that, again, really funny moment actually. It's a really, like, not tense, but like a serious discussion between the two where they're arguing about whether or not to do this protest. And she's like, Troy doesn't even know I'm here. And then in the same shot in the background, Troy's face just pops
You
up
just
at the door.
see him at the window.
Oh, it's great. And then Sam's like, and Troy's like, what are you doing here? And they genuinely believe that, you know. I mean, I don't think Sam believes quite quickly that they don't actually know why, you know, that each other were going to be here. But that's even funnier because then Sam's like, maybe you should organise your little shit before you show up here, eh? Like, so, again, good fun stuff. And again, that's one of the main strengths of this show, is that it can do these serious topics, the character stuff, but it'll mix in a lot of great humour that really
It's definitely been its strongest point.
peppers it throughout. So, no, it's good stuff. So ultimately we end pretty much here because they have an argument all the way back to the dorm room. She goes to see him, and you know she's pissed. He basically breaks up with her, but he's like, no, it's not really a breakup. We weren't really, you know, we weren't a couple. Like, you know, we weren't exclusive or anything like that. And she's pissed at this, and because she's like, wait, I named our children, like we had something, and at the same time I kind of sympathise with him a little bit because, like, well, yeah, but you just kind of were, that was a one-sided conversation. Like, I wasn't responding to that at all.
Like I said, it's like, no, I said nothing. That was just your delusion.
Yeah, but
And he definitely led her on by not saying
they didn't stop
no.
her.
Yeah, he didn't stop her. So in that sense, he definitely led her on and let her just have the fantasy because
Oh,
it benefited him.
Yeah, because it was right in the middle of sex, which, by the way, just future message to any, you know, future partners of mine. Talking about potential kids in the middle of sex is not the thing to keep the mood going. Because just FYI.
Not unless you're literally in the moment of attempting to have kids intentionally.
Oh, sure. If the intention of the sex is for, but even then, like, it's kind of,
Yeah, it might be a bit weird.
it's a mood killer,
but that's probably the only time that you could get away with it.
I mean, yeah, it's like.
At a push.
Yeah, well, you know, if the woman calls me daddy, I want it to be in the right context, not, you're going to be a daddy. Oh, well, thanks.
This seems like your commitment issues showing through. You're like, oh no, run away.
No, it's not a commitment thing. It's just, I don't want to talk about that during sex. It's weird.
Don't want to talk about the purpose of sex during sex.
I don't want to talk about children during sex. That's not that weird.
Christ.
That's not that weird. Look, I equally don't want to talk about kids during sex the same way I don't want to talk about my parents during sex. They're equally opposite ends of the spectrum, but the same thing.
Oh boy, this has gone down a rabbit hole.
Neither topics are suitable for during sex, okay? That's all I'm saying.
We done?
We're done,
Good eye
yeah.
system.
We're done. But yeah, she has that moment when she leaves and she like, she smiles again. But I like how she says, "I gave up my hair for you." I'm like, you can put it back on, like, it's not gone forever.
Yeah.
Unless there was a scene they cut out where she like, there was a symbolic thing where she went to a bridge and threw it in the river. Like, yes, I don't need you anymore. I'm
Yeah,
proud of my own hair now.
definitely didn't see that. But then the whole point of this is kind of her accepting that, she doesn't need a man, she can be herself.
Yeah, because she has that whole speech as she leaves where she's like, I'll be the second black woman president. Who is she saying is going to be the first?
Wasn't it just second black president?
Was it second black? I thought she said second black woman president, and I went, who's she expecting to be the first? Because obviously we've not had one yet, so I'm like, who's she expecting to be the first?
That's a fair question. Maybe I miss it. Maybe I'm just interpreting the line because it's like that. What made sense to me?
Yeah, that's what makes more sense. But then again, typically you're at least in your 40s by the time you're president, and even then, that's depending on what part of your 40s you're on, that's quite young. So even to suggest there'll be no black presidents until she's at presidential age is also a bit of an assumption. So I don't know. Did she maybe the assumption is that Michelle Obama will run?
That's the
obvious
logical one.
Yeah, that's the obvious one.
Like in terms of who she would look at and go, that one.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just heard the word female in there and it made it even more confusing to me.
But this is the thing. I don't know which one of us heard it wrong because one of us clearly did, but one of us is just maybe I just ignored that word in my mind. But even, like, okay, this makes more sense.
But
to
even
me.
Your version still is a little bit weird. It's like you're just assuming there'll be no other black presidents until you are.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I am impressed with her ambition. Absolutely. Right. It's just a weird thing to assume that there'll be no more until you're ready to go.
Well, I think that's kind of the point of the show, and it's kind of this.
Yeah,
sure. The whole thing of like being locked in the system. It's like it was kind of miraculous that we had one. Now it's going to be that long. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean maybe the pessimism is warranted. Absolutely, but hopefully.
I mean, the current law didn't do much to prove that hope, right? Did it?
We got our first orange president.
Yeah, it's something.
Agent Orange himself. Dear.
Ironically appropriate.
Yeah, not to be confused with gingerism, like Connor here.
Because there's a whole separate issue.
Yeah, you're Agent Ginger. Equally disastrous in the White House, I would care to speculate.
I mean, I'd like to think slightly less disastrous.
I don't know.
Or at least slightly less intentionally disastrous. Give me that one.
Okay, sure. Sure. Did you see? He looked at the eclipse without any
exactly
protective goggles on. What the hell?
Intentionally.
Do you know, Bush was an idiot, right? There was a lot of fun stuff to, like, you can make fun of Bush quite a bit. There was that famous photo of him with the children's book upside down. He said a lot of stupid phrases. Like, there was a lot of things. How is it that we have a president right now where I look at Bush and go, you know what, I actually kind of missed the days of Bush.
That's it. You look at Bush, you go, yeah, but I don't think he was just utterly incompetent.
Bit stupid, but not that incompetent.
Yeah, I mean, I might disagree with him on a lot of things, but I don't think he was doing it entirely just for self-gain in the same way this is.
Do you know what? I don't even know if I believe that. I think it probably is largely self-gain, but he didn't forget that he also had to serve the country while he was there.
Right. Okay, well, what I remember that is he didn't go, no, I'm going to keep my businesses going and I'm going to do things intentionally to help my business right now.
We're going down a deep political hole here. All I'm saying is, it's almost like Trump forgets that he's also supposed to serve, like, actually do the job as well on top of all the benefits that he's going to get from it.
Right. Exactly. And it's just, who looks at the eclipse without glasses? Who does that? Children do that. Unsupervised children.
He watched season 1 of Heroes and thought he was going to get a superpower.
Oh boy.
Okay. Do you know what? I used to want to avoid. I mean, not that we talk about politics that much, but I used to try and avoid it at all costs. I feel like after the last couple of weeks, I feel like it's okay to make fun of Trump.
I think it's especially in a show like this.
Yeah, but
where it's intentionally political.
We're past the point of even pretending he's not a scumbag. So you know what? I'm fighting with it.
Yeah, and it's kind of at the point where if you're watching this, you're not liking Trump, and you're hate. Also, that would be weird if you're watching this video on this show,
Yeah,
but
if you
you
got to
like
the
like
review of episode 9 of Dear White People and you're a Trump supporter, I really question your opposing
do you
views
know
in
what?
your
No, no,
head.
no. If that is true, if you're a Trump supporter and you're here on episode 9 of Dear White People, and you watch the episode, you're not just here to
Yeah,
shit on
yeah.
it for whatever reason. I want to pick your brain. I need to know how this works.
Yeah, it's like the Asian Society putting on the Bowling for Columbine movie. Like not that there's nothing wrong with it. I just want to know
I'm just fascinated.
why now specifically. Like why?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I suppose the shooting, the gun incident
yeah, yeah.
maybe inspired it, but that's not quite the same thing. I don't, like obviously gun control is part of that issue, but I feel like these like a Maverick shooting like that is very different from like
Yeah,
police brutality, like
right.
different
Definitely.
things. But whatever. Anyway, that's been episode 9. A Dear White People. We went on a bit of a tangent there, which made this one of the longer reviews, so apologies for that. But we have one left. We have the finale, which will be next week. So we're looking forward to that and wrapping it up. Now, don't worry. Come season 2, which has been confirmed, we'll treat this like any other show that goes up on Netflix or Amazon that we want to cover, but we'll do it more or less daily once it hits.
Yeah.
But this was because it was like an after the fact thing. We went weekly, and it kind of stuck to that. But so anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this rambles, and. I meant to say this shambles or these rambles, and I ended up mixing the two, and it sounded wrong. So
I think that's it. Call it there.
still smarter than Trump. Thanks for watching, guys. You get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates, like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there. But otherwise, guys, that is us. So thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.